started asking myself, what was I doing that made me feel so lonely? And that question alone already shifted everything for me because it was easy to sit with, especially when you've grown up believing that your actions define your worth, that who you are is tied to how well you behave, how well you show up, how much you don't cause trouble. And when you start questioning your actions, it can feel like you're questioning yourself, like you're about to cross the line into self blame or shame. But this wasn't about blaming myself, it was about responsibility. And there's a difference. Because when something happens between two people and you feel lonely, rejected, unseen, or betrayed, it's very easy to believe that the other person is wrong, that what they did caused how you feel. And when you've lived most of your life like that, turning inward feels almost unnatural, especially for me, because a lot of the actions I took as a child weren't even conscious choices. They were learned, they were led by the people around me, by what felt safe, by what kept connection, by what avoided conflict. Things like sacrificing my emotions, silencing myself, being the good one, being understanding, being accommodating. Those actions were praised, they were rewarded, they were seen as good, but they came at a cost, and the cost was loneliness. Not because someone else was doing something wrong to me, but because I was abandoning myself to maintain peace. That's when I started to see the pattern. I thought I was misunderstood because people weren't listening to me. But what I realized was I was misunderstanding myself. I wasn't listening to my emotions. I wasn't honoring my needs. I wasn't allowing my anger, my discomfort, my boundaries to exist. So, of course, I felt alone. I had left myself. And this is one of the core principles that completely shifted my healing. Nobody can make you feel anything, not in the way we think. What actually creates our emotional experience is the action we take in response to a situation, especially the action we take against ourselves. When I ignored my feelings to keep others comfortable, I felt lonely. When I silenced myself to avoid tension, I felt unseen. When I abandoned my boundaries for connection, I felt abandoned. Not because someone else did something to me, but because I did something to myself. And that realization was painful, but it was also freeing. Because if my actions created the feeling, then my awareness could create healing. That's where forgiveness comes in. Not forgiveness for being wrong, but forgiveness for surviving the only way I knew how. I wasn't bad. I wasn't broken. I was doing the best I could with the tools I had. And the same thing showed up with abandonment. For a long time, I thought abandonment meant someone leaving me emotionally. But what I uncovered was that abandonment for me was me leaving my own emotions behind. I wasn't abandoned because someone disregarded my feelings. I felt abandoned because I disregarded my feelings. And that was a hard truth to sit with because we're taught that love comes from outside of us. That if something would just see us, choose us, stay with us, we would finally feel whole. But what we were really yearning for was ourselves, our presence, our permission, our honesty. Shame tells you that you're not worthy of that love. But the truth is, it's your love. It always has been. This is why people pleasing is so deeply connected to loneliness, because people pleasing disconnects you from your anger, from your boundaries, from your needs. And when you abandon those parts of yourself long enough, connection starts to feel empty, even when people are around. So the real question becomes, is it what other people are doing to you or what you're doing to yourself in order to be accepted? That question changed everything for me, because once I stopped seeing myself as the problem and started seeing my actions as survival strategies that could be unlearned, loneliness stopped being an identity. It became a signal pointing me back to myself.